Hey, Pete here for Studio Live today. Is this you? Do you spend more time staring at the words optimizing performance than you do producing and creating music in GarageBand? Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you my best 5 tips for trying to avoid that horrible optimizing performance screen. Let's go. So first of all, what is optimizing performance? I wish I could give you a definitive explanation. The problem is that Apple has not ever said exactly what optimizing performance does. So instead, I'm going to tell you what I found out from some of the research that I've done into optimizing performance and some of the potential things that are happening behind the scenes when you see that pesky message. So optimizing performance tends to happen most when you have a large GarageBand project, specifically with a lot of audio files, so from audio recorder or lots of effects and processing on your tracks. And also the larger number of tracks, the more likely you're to get optimizing performance popping up. Now the reason for this is that on your iPad or your iPhone, all of those files and all of that information needs to be stored somewhere, and as you add more and more processing, it needs more and more space on the device to actually process all of those tracks and all of those effects. So what many people speculate is going on behind the scenes is that GarageBand is actually taking those files and copying them or potentially compressing them in order to play them back more efficiently. And this has led to some people being very concerned that optimizing performance is actually reducing the quality of their recorded files in GarageBand. Now, that's not something that I've actually personally experienced. I've done plenty of recordings in GarageBand and I've never even noticed a playback quality change, but I've definitely not noticed a quality change when I've exported my final version. So if that is happening, if that's what optimizing performance is doing, at least in my experience, it hasn't been having any impact on the quality. If you have other experiences, then by all means, let us know in the comments if you've experienced this or if something has happened for you with optimizing performance, reducing the quality of your sound. The one thing we do know is that optimizing performance does take up more of the space on your device. And if you've had your phone or your iPad very close to its maximum storage, you may have come across this message before where it tells you that there is not enough space to optimize the performance. So a tip there is to make sure that you do have plenty of space on your device, which can be hard when you're dealing with large files. But if you back up your files into iCloud, then you can free up some of that storage space. And if you need information on that, check out the links below to my video on how to manage your files in GarageBand. So let's cut to the chase. What can you do, if anything, to avoid staring at that optimizing performance screen more than you're actually creating your music? Well, all of these tips I'm about to share are from my own personal experience, and as usual, your mileage may vary, but you might get a few ideas here that are going to help you with your next project. Number 1 is all around your track count. So if you have a large project with a large number of tracks, in my experience, you're more likely to hit optimizing performance. So the tip here is to keep your track count as low as you possibly can. Now, does that mean you can't do 8, 16, 32 tracks? Of course not. You can go hardest if you want, but any tracks you have that you don't need in there, then try reducing those, deleting those. The less processing that GarageBand has to do, even on an empty track, it seems the better things run. Number 2 tip is around your effects. So if you are using a large number of effects and you don't really need to, then maybe think about, can you record clean or with just maybe a little bit of reverb when you're doing your tracking, and then convert and add your effects in the mixing phase. Now this goes against the tip that I have, which is getting it right at the source and defining your sound when you're recording. But if you're running into problems over and over again where you hit record and before you've even strummed a chord or sung a note, you're hitting optimizing performance, that's maybe one thing you can do to help reduce that problem. Number 3 is tracking your virtual instruments first. So as I said before, optimizing performance happens a lot more, in my experience, when I'm recording using the audio recorder. So my vocal tracks, my live guitars, anything that I'm recording through a microphone or through a line in is going to increase the chance of optimizing performance popping up. However, if I'm recording mainly virtual tracks using the touch instrument or a MIDI keyboard, I'm getting that a lot less, and that's to do with how much horsepower is needed to process a WAV file or an audio file compared to just a MIDI file. So anything with your touch instruments, it's only storing the data of which note it needs to hit and that one sample it needs to play back. It doesn't have to record the entire performance. So by doing your tracking in order of putting in your, if you're using drummer, and then you're using some strings and some virtual bass, put all of that down and then layer your real instruments over the top of that, you're going to find that by the time you get to your real instruments, you're not using up a whole bunch of processing and you'll get less problems hitting optimizing performance when you're recording. Tip number 4. Close down any other applications that are running in the background on your device. So this is a bit of a speculative tip. There's nothing proven about doing this, but in my experience, the more stuff I have running on my iPad or my iPhone, the less productive I can be in GarageBand, the more often I'm getting optimizing performance, and the more often I'm just getting little things that are popping up and causing problems. So if you can, put your device into airplane mode and close down any other applications. And if there's things that are running in the background that are taking up a lot of your processing power of your device, disable those, because the less that's going on in your device, the more focused it can be on recording great quality music tracks. And my 5th and final tip is where you can to do all of your tracking or your recording of your performances in one session. The reason for that is that optimizing performance loves to pop up when you're closing and reopening projects. It seems that anytime you change a project, it's adding the new project to the memory, you're going back and loading the other project, it loads up, bang, you hit with optimizing performance. So if you've got a song, the song is written and you're ready to record it, a great idea is to set up all of your tracks for your guitar, your bass, your vocals, whatever instruments you have a recording session, book some time with yourself, spend an hour or two recording, getting all your instruments in a nice, fresh project, save that project and get your performances down. That way, when you come back and start your mixing project, yeah, you might get a little bit of optimizing performance then, but you're not being hampered every time you try to record and add a new track with another bout of optimizing performance. So I hope you found this useful. I'm sorry that I can't tell you definitively what optimizing performance is doing, how you can completely avoid it, but this is my best advice right now with the knowledge I have that helps me be more productive in GarageBand and get more recording, mixing, and releasing of music done and less time spent looking at that horrible little screen. Thanks again for watching. If you like this video and you are creating content in GarageBand, please consider subscribing to the channel. I put out new videos every week of me producing and recording and real life GarageBand music. So if you're into GarageBand, you're interested in that, subscribe to the channel, check out the other videos that I have available. Thanks for watching. See you next time.